Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grow With Us. My name is Evan Barton, and I'm your host who helps create conversations with the innovators and leaders of a growing tech center in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The Grow With Us podcast highlights the work of community leaders, tech entrepreneurs, nonprofit professionals, and talent development advocates in Tulsa. Grow With Us is a podcast of inTulsa. inTulsa's mission is to connect talented individuals and companies to stimulate economic growth in Tulsa and to create more prosperous communities across the region. Each episode, Grow With Us discusses the growth of opportunities, the growth of communities striving for change, or the tech and innovation that is changing the landscape of Tulsa. On this episode of Grow With Us, I speak with Darrell Harris, the VP Consulting Project Manager at Bank of Oklahoma. We discuss Darrell's journey to Tulsa through the Living on Tulsa Time event through inTulsa, what he's looking to gain and share with the community, and some food recommendations all throughout town. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Grow With Us. I'm really excited today to welcome to the podcast Darrell Harris. Darrell, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Hey, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. The good folks over in Tulsa connected you and I together via email a couple weeks ago. We've had the chance to connect over the phone. And then literally as we were on the phone with each other, I was like, I've met this man in person before. And It kind of threw me back to when you came here on your visit and everything. And so we're going to talk about that and your story and everything. But I'm really excited to have you on, and I'm glad you're here in Tulsa, man.
Yeah, thank you. Once again, thank you for having me. Thanks for the good folks in Tulsa. They've been great since they gave me the invite to come visit Tulsa, living on Tulsa Time. So everything's been smooth.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Well, we'll keep the good vibes going for sure. I'd love for you to kind of tell us your story in whatever way you feel comfortable.
Okay. I'm Darrell. Born in Jersey. Well, not born in Jersey, but raised in New Jersey. Started my path in life at Morgan State University. Fun fact is I was a DJ in Morgan. I came up through the mixtape world. So, you walk in, you're liable to see Trey Songz. You're liable to see individuals like Jay Mills used to come on campus. You're liable to come into a room, my dorm room, boxes of CDs because we were shipping out so much music to different stores around the U.S. Graduated, didn't drop out. Graduated, had an opportunity to drop out, but I graduated. My mother said, never start something that you can't finish. So I graduated from Morgan in business management. Took like a year and thought I was going to be the biggest DJ. I had a great run. I still, think I walked away from music in 2018. So did Sirius Satellite Radio, Sirius XM Satellite Radio, Eminem Station, traveled the world, DJs for so many different events. But then I said, you know what? Let me really follow the corporate path. So although I always kept a corporate job, I just started, corporate hustling as far as getting them to pay for my education. So let's say I did 10 years of school total, walked away with 3 degrees, That's awesome. 2 bachelors, 1 MBA. And then I decided to turn it up another notch. And when I got my PMP, which is project management professional certification, got my Security Plus certification, and just trying to be the best version of myself I can be.
That's awesome. I'm so the DJ world and that experience. I remember you mentioning that in our phone call. It's another world to me. Yeah. I think there's not anyone in my current sphere of influence or whatever or even that I know from Tulsa that's had that experience. So that's really, really cool.
It was a weird experience because I lived 2 different worlds, right? I would go to work from 9 to 5, then from 8 to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm a whole nother version.
Yeah.
And balancing that, if you can do that, you can do anything.
Absolutely.
So that's what motivated me to continue my education, get certification, just gain a bunch of experience, and my professional career has been tremendous.
So that's awesome. Do you feel like I love that you talked about like balancing, living in 2 worlds. Those are things that I really resonate with. But I guess, do you really feel like it was like a nightlife persona versus the daytime persona with the DJ thing? Or was it more like I'm always Darrell, but like I have Darrell's got I guess like a corporate side or a professional side, and then I've got the like music side, the like creative. Like, is that really how it manifested, or
it's you're always going to get Darrell, right? Mm-hmm. But not everybody knows Darrell.
Yeah.
Right. Not everybody knows DJ radio.
Yeah.
So it's about, you can meet Darrell when you're dealing with DJ radio. So it was just a weird balance. I never really looked at it like that.
Yeah.
I'm always me no matter where I go. So I just give people who I want. I just give off the energy that I want. Yeah. So whether I'm in a corporate setting, walk into a corporate building, I worked for Verizon Communications for 9 years. And that's some of the best training you're actually going to get. And that training you can actually apply into the DJ world.
Absolutely.
The negotiation skills, the, making sure this is there, preparing yourself and just having things laid out. Those things actually help me in the music world.
Absolutely. Those transferable skills.
Exactly. So it's funny when you talk to people, hey, I'm having a hard time. I'm like, what do you do? Like, what are some fun things you do? And I try to pull that and tell them, you can apply this to that. A lot of people will be like, really? I'm like, yeah, it's transferable. You just don't look at it as what. You just don't look at it like that.
Absolutely. I think we have, in a lot of, I guess, ways, like as a culture, maybe like compartmentalize ourselves a little too much. Like, I only do this when I'm here, or I only do this when I'm here. And I think you and I share a little bit of that. I think the word that I would use to describe it is that authenticity. I bring myself to everything, but you can get what I put into it differently, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But you're always authentically getting me. I love that.
You have to be yourself, right? Because if you're not yourself, you're just doing yourself a disservice, right? Yeah. No matter what room you're in, whether it be corporate, whether it be a party, whether it be a gathering, always be yourself, because you never know who's paying attention, And that's where we get the real and the fake. Like, just be yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to be yourself.
I think that's spot on. What do you think? How do you think social media has played into that?
I think social media has created these false worlds, right? Mm-hmm. People think, let's just look at college, right? Mm-hmm. People think like, hey, I don't want to go into debt, so they don't go to school. They want to be this entrepreneur. And I'm all for the entrepreneurs. I champion them, but everybody can't be an entrepreneur. Yeah. We need soldiers. We need employees. Everyone's trying to come with the next best thing, but they're wasting their life away trying to chase something that may not never come. And I get it. It's a wish, it's a hope, but you're going to do better. It's going to get you a regular 9-to-5 and developing those skills to be able to venture off and do something that, okay, I learned this, now let me take this and apply it in an entrepreneurial role. Yeah,
no, I think that I so agree. I think there's I think we have only seen, or at least the dangers of social media sometimes show you projections of people and not the real people. And in this case in particular, you see people's highlight reel. That's what a lot of social media is everyone's like their W's or whatever. But sometimes you grow through the L's. Like you have to grow through the L's.
I don't consider them L's. It's lessons, right?
Absolutely.
Some people might consider them, I lost on this. No, it's just a lesson that you won't do it again. Yeah. Now, if you do it again, that's
different.
That's insanity, doing the same thing over and over.
Expecting different
results. Mm-hmm. But I think, like you said, everyone's showing the highlights. No one's showing their bills like, I'm 30 days behind on this. 30 days behind on this.
I wonder what we would look like if we did that.
Imagine, right? You have people that really feed, and some people don't really have friends. So the social media world is their way of friendship.
Yeah.
Right. And I've seen some popular individuals, whether it be artists, whether it be models, whether it be fashion people. I've seen them get in the room and be like terrified, because it's socially awkward.
Yeah, they don't know how to interact.
Yeah, I call it like web fishing, when you're something online, but in reality it's nothing. It's like, I call it web fishing. That's what I call it.
That's where you have a little bit of cybersecurity in your background.
Yeah, web fishing. That's what I just call it. But yeah.
I love that. And I mean, thanks for kind of going down that path with me. I think it really is going to inform a lot of our conversation later on too. But let's talk a little bit about Tulsa. I mean, how does DJ Radio find himself into Tulsa?
Well, no one knows DJ Radio in Tulsa, right? Everyone knows Darrell.
Yeah.
So Darrell and DJ Radio is the same, right? Tulsa is different, right? I'm from the East Coast. I got to come from an East Coast perspective. Mm-hmm. One thing I can actually say and I appreciate is people here are very friendly. Overly friendly. I'm not used to that, and I had to get used to it, and I appreciate it. Yeah. And it kind of rubs off on you. I was talking to one of my friends not too long ago. I was like, I was like, you're too nice. You got to come home.
This is when you get so nice.
Exactly. So, and also just Tulsa, it's a melting pot full of, creatives, innovators, entrepreneurs, 9 to 5, people that are great in their careers. A lot of people with knowledge, a lot of people with not only corporate knowledge, not only skill knowledge, people who know the city that can actually give you the history of Tulsa. Not all the bad parts, but just overall great perspective and outlook and history on Tulsa. So I kind of like it. And you can, whatever you're into, you can find it here. So if you're into tech, you're into fashion, you're into music, art, you're into... Listen, I got a road bike.
Yeah.
I have a road bike now. I go biking. If I was on the East Coast, I'm not riding the bike.
Not in the rat race.
Exactly. So I actually, my coworkers, they hounded me for months. Like, hey, you got to get a bike.
Yeah.
So I ride with them. They leave me in the dirt. I'm not there yet, but they leave me in the dirt. But I'm appreciating everything that Tulsa has to offer.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. I think it's good to, obviously, like you said, come from your own perspective, and your perspective is, East Coast. And I've been a little bit in the East Coast, New Hampshire. I spent some time in New York.
Yeah.
And
it's rough.
Yeah, it can be rough. And I think the biggest thing that, I obviously love Tulsa for a lot of reasons, but in comparison, East Coast and even slightly the West Coast, I think the temperament of people, nice people are a little bit nicer here. It does reign true. It's not like people are mean in New York or whatever. Maybe they are, but I don't think that grace might not be the right word, but that I guess approach to helpfulness, hospitality. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. It's not always a given on those places, and I think here it's a little bit a part of our nature in some ways to want to be helpful to other people, and I'm glad you've experienced that just within a year of this.
And I tell people all the time, if you're gonna come to Tulsa, some of my friends, I'll be like, hey, you might come to Tulsa. Nah, I'm not moving out there. It's nothing for me to do. If you're gonna come to Tulsa, you want to be successful, you want to enjoy it. It's the East Coast, it's not the West Coast, it's its own world.
Yeah.
You have to be open-minded. You're going to work with different type of people. You're going to work with people who think differently than you, but everyone's focused on a common goal to be successful.
Yeah.
Right? To have fun, to eat good food, to just enjoy life.
Yeah.
Tulsa, to me, is soft life living.
Like that.
That's what I call it.
But the people aren't soft.
I agree. I agree.
No, I think I like that a lot. That's a good way to put it, because I think there's something about, maybe taking a little bit more time to think about your career, or to not have to hustle as hard, or to, not ever have to sit in traffic. I'm not gonna act like we don't have traffic, but you're gonna tell me we don't.
You don't have traffic. You don't have traffic. You guys do not have traffic.
I love it. I'll take it. And the time I'm not, sitting in traffic, I'm getting to do other things. And that's, I mean that in every sense of it. I'm investing in myself. I'm making more connections. I don't know how much time it really gets me back at the end of the day. I'm really excited for one of these days to get, if I could ever calculate my stats on things, how much time I was efficient in this way and not in this way. But I really do think that, my 5 to 10 minute commute, 6 miles down the street versus anytime I've been in LA trying to go 6 miles, you're going to be in the car for 30 minutes, 45 minutes. You just have to plan for that. It's really crazy, but it does kind of add up into how you experience a city.
And the great thing you mentioned, you do get a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
I can get off work. I can go to the gym. I can go home and eat.
Yep.
I can go ride my bike for about an hour, hour and a half. Come home and it's 8:00.
Yeah. Still can watch a movie.
Like,
still can.
What's going on?
Maybe go meet up with someone for anything. I don't know. I love that.
Yeah, it's very true. Very true.
That's awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about, I think what brought you to Tulsa and how it even got on your radar. So you came to Tulsa last year as a part of the Living on Tulsa Time event that was put on by inTulsa. This has kind of been an experiment. I think you were the first year that we did this, and it was a very experimental type of visit. Tulsa was really kind of in that place where guided visits were doing a lot for people by just the sheer fact of exposure. Mm-hmm. I think coming here is how you really experience it. It's really how you experience it. We can put things on a billboard, we can put things in a brochure, but it's different when you're here and you get to see it. And so you really got a chance to do that with us as we were figuring that out. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about that experience on that event.
So I have a friend who actually came through Tulsa Remote.
Okay.
And she was living in Philly prior to Tulsa. And I think we was on Facebook. I'm like, where you been at? Like, she's like, oh, I moved to Oklahoma. I'm like, who moves to Oklahoma? Like, what's out there? I'm like, what's out there? She's like, oh, I came to this program, told me all the benefits, the perks, how simple life is, how affordable it is. I'm like, okay, let's say that was like August of 2022. So I'm like, okay. She was like, I hope you like it out there. I'm not coming to visit you. So then she sends me a link, in Tulsa link, like, hey, they're looking for tech people. So I'm like, I don't know what you're telling me that for. Like, I'm not going to Tulsa. She was like, just fill it out. It could be a free trip. We can hang out when you get here.
Yeah.
I said, all right, cool. I filled it out and they selected me. So at the time they were looking to bring some IT talent here in Tulsa. So I came for 3 days. I think I actually stayed four days. I paid for my last day. I stayed here just to venture off in the city. And that weekend, it was a big Q party.
Mm-hmm.
So I met just me being me. I met a couple. The wife was from DC. I forget where the husband was from, but they lived in Dallas. They came up and they invited us to other parties. So although I'm doing it in Tulsa, living on Tulsa, I'm still being part of what's going on in Tulsa.
Yeah.
And that was cool. And interviewed with some companies here. Went back home. That Monday had an interview. So I left Sunday, got home Monday, had an interview, had another interview the following week. 2 days later, I get an offer. And I'm like, okay, this is nice. And we went from there. And I've been rolling ever since. I think I signed the offer on the 14th. I was in Tulsa April 18th looking at apartments.
Wow.
And I moved here May 11th. No, I jumped on the road May 8th and I got here May 11th.
Yeah.
So I stopped. I did the road trip from Baltimore to Tulsa. We stopped at pretty much every outlet on the way here. We stopped in Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
Did some things out there. We stopped in St. Louis.
Yep.
Did some things out there.
I know this path because I drove it up to college. So I'm like, I'm on the highway with you.
Shouts to St. Louis, but it's a little sketchy there.
Mm-hmm.
A little sketchier than a little Baltimore. I was like, whoo, let's keep it moving.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I got here May 10th. I stayed, and May 11th I moved in my apartment.
Wow, that's
So
awesome.
It was so smooth, and I work for a great company. And that transition, you would think I'd known these people for all my life.
Yeah.
I work for BOK. I work for some amazing folks. I thought I was on top of my game. They keep, iron sharpens iron. So the team I work with, the leadership that we have is amazing. So it's one of the best company I've ever worked for.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. And that whole process, I think, it's being smooth and all of those things. It's something I'd say is unique, but I've had many people on this podcast that have said it's been just as like just as smooth, or it's felt right. Like, every decision wasn't made for you, but you were teed up to make it because there was something here for you.
So when I came here at April 18th of 2023, I had a game plan. Like I looked at over 50 apartments.
Yeah.
So every apartment downtown, I looked at, and I was like, no. I went to Cherry Street.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Midtown. I went everywhere looking at apartments for the 3 days that I was here.
Yeah.
And then I found this wonderful place called Broken Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what is this place over here?
What's this little enclave?
And Broken Arrow spoke to me, like, move in. I was like, okay. The apartment was like fairly new. It wasn't built more than a year.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign. And other than that, everything was smooth.
That's where it is. That's awesome. Yeah, I think, and I really do want to, I'm working on like a mind shift expansion with this a little bit, like what is, truly and properly Tulsa. Because we have quite a few like little suburbs of Tulsa that are 20 minutes down the road, like not even. I mean, Broken Arrow is 15, depending on traffic. The traffic we do or don't have.
In Tulsa, you can still be in Tulsa 20 miles out. So you're
absolutely,
right.
Yeah. And then to the west of us, we've got Sand Springs. To the southwest, it's Jinx. To the southeast, it's Bixby and BA, kind of like really neighbor each other. Mm-hmm. There's so many, and those people I think would always say that they're from where they're at, but their closest big city they'd say is Tulsa. So in a lot of ways, I'm like, they're Tulsans. They have this experience of being in this area and familiar with it in some way, shape, or form. And so, yeah, I mean, you're a Tulsan even if you're in Broken Arrow.
Everyone around Tulsa is Tulsa.
Yeah.
No one knows when you say, where you? Oh, Bixby. No one's going to know that. You say Tulsa? Oh, yeah, I heard it.
Yeah. I like that because I'm a true Tulsan. Midtown is where I grew up. All those things. And I mean, just getting back a little bit into the impact of this event from my perspective on it. It's really about that experience was about, a specific job sector that was looking for opportunities. Let's bring those people here and have them interview with companies that we know are either hiring currently or are, soon to be hiring in these roles. At the time, inTulsa strategy was really focused on that. They still are focused on connecting candidates to companies and companies to candidates. But I think it's really interesting the work that goes on a little bit behind the scenes on both sides. How do you liaise the companies and the recruiters, the people that already have those jobs, to be open to finding, new people, but like the top talent. Like they weren't just bringing in, nobody.
It wasn't just bringing in regular degulars.
Absolutely.
We had people from Facebook, NVIDIA, Google, SpaceX, all the big dogs. So that was, and it was me. I was like, okay, I felt honored to be amongst some of the best talent that they actually brought to the city.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's notable that you're here because of that event. So that's what's awesome. And I'm so glad to hear that, one weekend in Tulsa has turned into a year and a half.
Exactly. So if you would have told me in 2022, hey, you're going to be living in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 2023, I'd be like, you're right. So yeah, it's been great.
So I think I love that. And thank you for sharing that. And kind of thinking about Tulsa, what are some things that Darrell's bringing to Tulsa and you're looking to share, or in anything that you've kind of already seen, and we talked about this a little bit on the phone, anything that you've seen that you think you might be able to have an impact on?
Shifting people's mindset, encouraging people, think bigger.
Yeah.
Don't accept these limitations that people put in front of you. Go around them, go above them. Sometimes you got to burst through them.
Yeah. Never
look at something in your way as a stopper. Go around it. So I challenge people all the time, be better than what you were yesterday. I try to hold people accountable. Well, I do hold people accountable. That's why if you, like, for example, Evan, if you was to say, hey, I want to get in cybersecurity, I'll give you all the resources.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna follow up with you. Hey, how you doing? Oh, well, okay, cool. Why haven't you? Well, that's an excuse. Let's go. And then I put you like, hey, listen, let's check in next week. Let's see. And it's not the fact that you have to jump all the way in. Just throw 5% at it.
Yeah.
Throw 10% at it. You're gonna get to 100.
Absolutely.
You're gonna get to 100. So that's just the mindset piece. Musically, I want to create environments here that don't exist. Like lounges where people can just go listen to some music and network. Let's just say you got a particular candidate that you're probably want to interview, or you want to, hey, I want to tell you about my podcast. Meet me over at such and such. The music starts around. It's a cool vibe.
Yeah.
There's nothing too serious. You know?
Low stakes.
Exactly. So I'm just trying to figure out where that actually live and how we can actually cultivate that here within Tulsa, and young professionals and individuals like yourself, where everyone has like, hey, we're here. It's just a place where everybody can actually come in and just connect and network, because everyone has superpowers.
Absolutely.
If I met you walking down the street, I know that guy, but I don't really know your superpower. Oh, you got a studio? You got a podcast network? Oh, I didn't know that. So just being able to put people in the room where it's not like, and one thing I dislike when people just bombard you with their entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I know that. I know the vibes.
So just, hey, just somewhere you can chill, relax. And if you do have a business, you can set up a booth or something to talk about it.
Yeah.
But no need to bombard people like, hey, I'm the founder of this. Like, I get it. But right now.
The hustle is right, but maybe this isn't the right setting. Yeah.
So that's it. And even those founders, entrepreneurs, they need a kickback session. They need something to unplug.
Yeah.
And once you unplug and you plug back in, you feel refreshed.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I love that. I think, this is exactly, I'm like ready to invest with you on this. It's like, it is something I so see as necessary. It's not to say that these spaces don't already exist. I think that the physical space is what hasn't been optimized for this type of an idea. Because there's always kind of something going on, or at least what I think about Tulsa and some of the things that are going on. It's all kind of budding on the surface or excited. It just needs that click up or that like energy, that maybe a little bit of facilitation. But I don't think it needs to be, the space needs to be curated, not necessarily like the activity, if that makes sense.
Exactly. And another thing, lastly, I was just thinking the other day, is like, I know there's a bunch of festivals here that goes on, but the festivals don't really generate what's going on in the music that we listen to each and every day, right? Some of your favorite artists don't come to Tulsa.
Unfortunately.
Why is that? We have the people. And
we have the venues in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Venues, we have the people. And now you're getting even more people from the East Coast to West Coast. You're getting people from Chicago. Texas is coming over. So now there's a full need of old Tulsa can't look old new Tulsa. It has to be, of course, keep its roots, but there needs to be some shaking up and things need to change around Tulsa and just bring some dope artists. Not saying that the ones that they do bring, but a lot of them be, in my opinion, they're the artists that I listen to, some of the festivals, not the recent one, but some of the artists that they bring are like people that when I was, 10, 12 years old.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
Like, did we miss that wave, or are we on this nostalgia wave with it?
Because there's fresh, brand new talent that's killing it right now, whether it's R&B, hip hop, whether it's pop, whether it's even country.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much that's going on that I think that Tulsa just misses.
Yeah, we've got to figure out how to cast that net a little bit for those folks to see. And what's so interesting about that point specifically is so many artists do come to Tulsa and then they're like, this is my favorite place to perform.
Yeah.
Like whether it's the venue, like the Canes. I mean, we have a historic venue at the Canes. I think the Flaming Lips, he says, the lead singer of that has said that that's his favorite place to perform. And I'm like, I mean, these are big names that have had the opportunity to be here, but we got to keep, it's almost like respecting the space, but like keeping the room for innovation when it comes to artist selection. And I'm so there with you.
And also it gives the talent, like there's talent here in Tulsa, but they never get that opportunity to be on that stage. Why? I have no idea.
Yeah.
But there's talent here in Tulsa. R&B, pop, the bands, like hip hop. There's talent, but they never get those shines to be on those stages. So just giving them an opportunity to be heard. Yeah,
I like it. I wanna keep developing this idea with you a little bit because I think it's something that I'm really passionate about as well. And it's one of the things that like I do feel pretty plugged into what's going on in Tulsa in many different sectors, fields, spaces, and things like that. But like, that's one that I don't feel plugged into. I don't know the people that make those decisions. I don't know the venue. I know the venues by name because I patron them, but I don't know really where's step one. You got to know who to talk to.
And one more thing that I want to bring to Tulsa, just trying to be a thought leader when it comes to technology. I consider myself a problem solver. And I'm so solution oriented. But there's a lot of opportunities here in Tulsa that needs exposure, right? There's Tulsa Innovation Labs. You have the Black Tech Street. You have 36 Degree North. You have Atlas. You have all these organizations that's providing some great services. You have Retrain Tulsa at those individuals over there. I was on a panel with them. Yeah, like you have so many resources here. Like Grow with Google. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah,
Grow with Google, which is a free service. Average Tulsan doesn't even know about it. Average Oklahoman don't know about it. So just trying to, how do we put those messages out there for the everyday normal person that says, you know what, I want to change in my life. I want to do more. I know I can be better. I want to provide more for my family. I want to be a better representation than my family. I want to break the curse. How do we get that information out to them?
It's huge.
That is and I'm seeing it, like there's huge gaps.
Yeah.
Like it's huge gaps. And whether it's Black, whether it's white, whether it's indigenous, whether it's Mexican, there's a huge gap.
There's a huge need for community engagement with these programs.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and I'm in network with many of these communities and these organizations, and we're absolutely thinking about that. I'm in marketing, so it's also like, how do you get the word out about what Campus Tulsa is doing, what Atlas School is doing, and all these things, and you have to make sure you don't approach the void. When it comes to like your digital presence, if your route to engage the community is digital, how are you making sure you're not yelling to nobody? Yeah. And I sometimes think that things like this can help. Having conversations about the impacts of these programs, or hearing testimonials helps. But also meeting people and telling them about it, like being in person, that connection that you kind of have to hope it will spread to the next person, that network effect. But if one person's positively impacted by it, it will spread. The good news will spread in some ways.
And that's all. Like, it takes one person to tell somebody else, like you said, the networking. But there's huge opportunities out in Tulsa. And what I don't want is to be a transplant taking advantage of everything else that I can step to the side and let someone else take advantage of it. Yeah. Because if they don't take advantage, I'm going to take advantage. So,
well, that whole conversation is interesting because I think that there's been a lot of talk about, I guess, ethically, what is, maybe it's more morals inside of ethics, but as a transplant, there are these opportunities for people through these programs, like, Tulsa Remote is a great example.
Yeah.
I get paid $10,000 to move to Tulsa. And I already have, and with my remote job that, categorically, typically makes, already over $75,000, like on average. So then to give someone that cherry on top, money, it's almost like, I guess like some people are thinking about what they do with that money, and some people are like, give it to me.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that people that participate in these programs are hopefully considering that perspective. What am I doing to better this city?
Yeah.
Because they're not just giving me $10,000 just to move here for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
In the Tulsa Remote process, I'm pretty familiar with how it goes. There's a big emphasis on what are you going to provide to the community. That's where the return on investment for that $10,000 is almost always proven. Or you self-select yourself out if you don't have, an answer that is valuable to the community.
Yeah,
so
the community needs it. There's, like I said, there's huge opportunities out here for us to pour into the next generation or even the current generation.
Mm-hmm.
You only know what you know.
Yep, absolutely. So, well, I'm going to kind of wrap us up here with a little bit of some, I really want to hear from you. You've been here for a year and a couple months. I know you've told me you're a little bit of a foodie.
Yeah.
You've had some experience dining around Tulsa. Tell us a little bit of some of the hidden gems. What might even a Tulsa not know? And you've already told me one that I was like, I've never heard of this place.
Thai, my coworkers actually put me onto this spot, so shouts out to them. However, there's a restaurant called Tropical Restaurant Bar and Grill. It is great. It is very good.
I gotta try it.
Yeah, you definitely have to try it. I don't know the name of the spot, but Dumpling Wednesdays.
Oh, at all. Yes.
At all.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, the dumplings are great. I like the dumplings.
And they keep innovating. That's like I love that concept of at all. I need to have someone from them on on here to talk about it, because it's not just dumpling night. They do like a Japanese breakfast. They do the butter bar or something like that. They have like a whole schedule, and it's so cool. And the way that they've split the ownership of it is like a really unique concept as well. But absolutely at all. I love at all.
So I'm a big breakfast guy. I love breakfast. So people know this. Big Biscuit.
Mm-hmm.
That's like number one. Neighborhood Jam.
Love Neighborhood Jam.
So
anytime I bring friends in from out of town, I'm like, we got to go to Neighborhood Jam. It's a good little brunch spot.
And this one, another one of my coworkers put me on was Queenie's.
Yes, absolutely.
So I don't know if those are like hidden gems, but those are some great breakfast spots here in Tulsa. And this is the Tulsa classic that I wasn't familiar with. And coming from the East Coast, I didn't know what chicken fried steak was.
Mm-hmm.
So Nelson's is one of the, you got to be easy on Nelson's. You might go to sleep, you eat that. So
yeah, be careful how often you order that chicken fried steak.
Nelson's Buffeteria. I think that's on Memorial.
Yeah.
Something. That's a good one. I like that one.
I know exactly what you're talking about. They have a neon sign, kind of like the Meadow Gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So those are my, of course, you got the steakhouses, Hemingway is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
If, Hemingway, what's the one behind Neighborhood Jam? Mahogany.
Mm-hmm.
Mahogany is good. Ruth Chris is good.
Mm-hmm. Prime.
I haven't been to Prime yet.
I was like, Prime is just down here.
Yeah, I haven't been to Prime.
You should check that one out. I've had a good meal there.
I just tried, which was good. What's the spot downstairs? Que Gusto. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you how I met that. How I found out about that.
Yeah.
So I'm at the outlets. Shouts to the New Jinx outlets.
Yes.
So I'm out there. Now, I'm an Adidas guy. I love Adidas. You rarely see me at Nike, ever. I'm still boycotting them. And then we could talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
Right? But I stay with some Air Force Ones, all white. So that's like
it's a staple.
Yeah. So I'm in line. So my friend that's with me, she's like, "Hey, I like your purse." And the woman was like, "Oh, this." She had an accent. I'm like, "Where you from?" She's like, "Ecuador."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I'm talking to her. She was like, "Yeah, I've been here for 12 years." I'm like, "Okay." Like, what brings you to Tulsa? "Oh, my husband." So I'm like, "Okay, so tell me the best Ecuadorian restaurant in Tulsa." Que Gusto's. I'm like, "Why is that?" "Oh, I own it."
There you go.
So based on that, I tried it and I was like, okay, that was pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
We've had quite a bit of Que Gusto in my days. It's
shout
awesome.
out to Fernando.
Yes.
The owner, Fernando. He probably don't even know. He probably don't remember me, but hopefully
he'll appreciate the shout out.
Yeah, so Fernando, and I forget his wife, forget her name, but yeah, they were good energy,
mm-hmm.
good vibes, great people.
Yeah, I love that, and I think it is a good testament to a city if a East Coaster can come and find some good food here in Tulsa, because people ask me all the time, like, what is there a staple food that Tulsa is known for? And I don't have an answer for that.
One thing
people say barbecue, but I don't think that's fair.
One thing I could say is you will not find a food shortage in Tulsa.
Yeah.
There's food everywhere. And the last of my Tulsa staples that I really like and enjoy is Brahms.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Brahms ice cream is amazing.
We got some in the freezer.
Okay, Brahms. Shouts to Brahms. Brahms is definitely there.
Absolutely. After swim meets in high school, the team would always go to Brahms afterwards for a sweet treat.
Brahms got that ice cream, but it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Those cows are good. We also, I was like, this is Baby Bell or Bluebell, but I love Brahms. I love that made it in. You gotta put a little cherry on top, and Brahms is absolutely Brahms. The cherry. Well, Darrell, thank you so much for being on this episode of Grow With Us, man. I really have appreciated this conversation. What are you got anything to plug? Anything you want people to, if people want to stay connected with you or get connected with you? Anything you want to shout out?
Yeah. So for me, it's just have a growth mindset. I'm on LinkedIn. Anyone can reach out to me on LinkedIn. But just have a growth mindset and just be better than what you was yesterday. And it doesn't happen overnight. That's why I got to tell people it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
You know, although I have 3 degrees, took a lot of studying.
Yeah.
You know, project management certification, a lot of studying. So you just have to sacrifice some things. With no sacrifice, you're not going to have success.
Yeah.
And you, with your podcast, I know you had some sleepless nights.
Yeah.
So some things you have to sacrifice, and anything that you want to be successful in, you have to put that effort in. It's not going to come to you. So
Absolutely.
Just put the effort in, have a growth mindset, and be better than tomorrow.
I love that. I think that's great parting words. And Darrell, thank you so much once again. I really appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me.
And thank you so much for listening to this episode of Grow With Us.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Grow With Us. Grow With Us is supported by inTulsa Initiatives. If you're interested in learning more about inTulsa services for job placement and workforce development, please visit talent.intulsa.com. From there, you can join our talent network where you'll get access to our newsletter, and our talent team will make sure we put the right opportunities on your radar. We put the choice to pursue a new career and opportunities in your hands. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify to be notified when more episodes of Grow With Us are released. Let us know what you think about how we're doing by rating and reviewing. It really helps. Grow With Us is edited and engineered by Rant9 Productions and Jesse Ulrich. This has been Grow With Us.